Alright guys, so this is going to be my review of the Norscot Caterpillar 740B EJ. This articulated truck, the dump bed in the back does not tip up like it normally would. Basically the ejector pushes it out, and this review, I'm going to get straight into it, and then at the end I'm going to give my thoughts on it, and be sure to stick around because it's going to be pretty interesting. Coming from somebody that doesn't typically like any Norscot model or anything. So be sure to stick around for the whole review and to watch the whole thing. So I'm going to start here at the nose of the truck, and looking at the nose of the truck, it has a very odd look to it, not in the design, but the actual build quality of it does look like plastic, and when you do knock on it, I don't know if I want to say if it's plastic or metal because I really can't tell, but if I had to choose, I'd probably go with plastic. Does it really matter to me? No, but it does matter to some. I guess if I use this in dioramas and whatnot, it would bother me a little bit more. It's just something that, you know, will bother some people. This model isn't that expensive, although it is pretty pricey, so it's not like you're paying hundreds of dollars and getting plastic. Regardless, looking at the nose of the truck, you can see the grille there, and it's really not the most detailed around. It does the job and does what, you know, it's supposed to do, and it does look decent. You can see you have your lights. It's not etched or anything, but if you listen, it's semi-etched, so you know it does give the appearance. The one thing I do have to say, and that does make this truck look plastic, is the paint is so thick and glossy, and I think that's the one reason why it does look like a plastic model. And if they could fix that, I think that it would probably make their models look a lot better, and as well if the paint wasn't so thick. Coming to the side, you can see that it does have a very nice appearance to it. And one thing I want to really, you know, go over that they did very well was they didn't make the tires so glossy. And that's one thing that everybody complained about whenever they came out with a model. The tires looked like they were high gloss and they were armor rolled. These are they still have a slight gloss to them, but they're, as you could tell, a huge improvement, and they make the model look a whole lot better. And I'm very happy that they did that. If I had to choose one thing that they did great, it would probably be this, because it just makes the truck look much more realistic. And if you look on the inside of the hubs, you could see the bolt detail, and it does look a lot better than past Norscot models. Going up top here near the cab, unfortunately the handrails are still plastic, but I do want to give them this. Part of them aren't as thick, and I really do like that a lot. They're almost as thin as some metal ones. Obviously, if they were metal, the costs of the model would go up a lot more. So I'm kind of glad that they did keep them plastic, but in a way I'm not. But one thing I really do like is that they're a lot thinner, and I think that gives the model a much better look. Although some parts of them aren't as thin, like the mounts for the mirror and just the overall mounts, I guess you could live with that. Another thing that I want to say that is really good that they did was, if you look here, you can see that the steps that lead up to the top of the cab are silver, and I think that gives them a much more realistic look, and it also throws off the high, very, very high gloss yellow. I think that just, you know, in my opinion, gives it just a very nice look, and I'm sure that most people will agree. And if you look up top over here, you can see that there is some bolt detail. Going to the cab, and hopefully you're able to see it in there. It's an alright cab. If you know me from my reviews, I really don't go over the cab too much, so it really doesn't matter to me. But it's an alright cab, it's nothing crazy. The guard up top here, you could see has not etched through, and on the other side it's pretty much exactly the same, as you could see. Now coming down to the articulation joint, and this is where my only complaint is, but we'll get to that in a second. Now looking back here, you could see that the black on the back of the cab is probably my favorite part of the model, because I just think that it looks very well. As you could see, obviously not etched through, but there is some detail there. And as I rub that against that, you could even hear it. So I like that a lot. And they even have handrails over here. Obviously still are plastic and they are a little flimsy, but it really doesn't bother me that much. And if we look at the articulation joint, you could see that it even has the hydraulic hose to run back. Functions of the articulation joint are that the truck will spin. Obviously you don't want to spin it all the way around because those lines will break. And it does turn, and it does turn to a fairly decent amount. A lot better, I feel, than past Norscot models. I feel like this is a very large improvement than the last ones. And another thing is that the hose here is also rubber, so you could move it and whatnot. I like that a lot as well. Now my only really complaint that I have on the model, if someone asks me what's bad about the model, my only really complaint that I would have is that the articulation joint is loose. And that's what I mean by that. I don't know if there is a way to actually fix it, but it doesn't seem like there is. So I mean, it seems like it's just pushed in there like with a rivet, and I don't think there's a way to fix it. But honestly, that's really my only complaint that I have about this model. And I mean, it wouldn't really tell me to stop anybody from buying it, but it's really my only thing about it. Anyway, going to the back, and the front of it's probably my favorite part. So anyway, the back is pretty cool. There's really not much to it when you look at it. It's kind of plain, but I guess that's how it is on the real truck. One cool thing is, though, that I believe it does have suspension. It really doesn't have much of a suspension, but it does have some suspension. It seems like it has it more on the back axles, and I guess it's just there for, I guess kind of for show. But if we look at the back, the frame does have some pretty nice detailing. Nothing crazy, but it's there, and it does actually complement the truck very well. Back axles are also very cool. If you look, they kind of could take the terrain, I guess you could say. And one thing I want to say also is you could see even on the front of the truck with articulation joint is the rivets are painted, so that's another big plus that they did. It took them a long time to actually get all this stuff right, but I'm glad that they finally did. If we come to the other side, you could see pretty much the same thing. On the ejector, you have your bolt detail, and I believe that's like the pin for it to slide in the rail, so those are also painted as well. You can see right there, and there are friction pins, so that's another plus because there's no big rivet head. And now I will show you the ejector working. It's a very cool feature, I must say. It would be cool to have an actual ADT, but it's still a cool feature. I feel like I like this more than a normal articulated truck as well. But anyway, before you dump your load, you would obviously drop your tailgate, and you just pull it out like that. As you could see, it just fits into those little rivets right there. There's little holes on the edges. I'll show you that. And you just push it in there. It works very well, I must say. So you drop that, and then you just slide that. Sometimes it can get stuck a little bit. If you push more on one side, it will, but if you push from up here, as you can see, you should really have no problem at all. One thing I do want to say about it is, well, I don't know if there's a stop for it, but I really wish they would have made these cylinders nicer. And I say that because this part right here is chrome, and then the other ones are painted silver. And I assume they couldn't do that just once again because of cost. because it would have cost a lot more money to get metal instead of plastic, and plus these are probably easier and cheaper once, you know, to make them and paint them. So, you know, it would have been nice if they would have improved it. Honestly, I'm not saying it's bad because I only plan on displaying my truck when it's like this, but, you know, for someone that is going to display it when it's pushed out, I guess that could be a problem. And also, you kind of do have to, like, readjust the cylinders. One could be pushed in more, so I always just pull the last one out. And now I'll show you what it looks like from behind when it is ejected. So here's what the truck looks like when it's pushed out. It looks pretty cool, I must say. I'm sure that many people are going to buy this model after this review. If you do, let me know in the comments. And it would look pretty cool in a stop motion, pushing out all the dirt. And if you look here, you could kind of make out the little hole for where the little stub would go into. And the back of the tailgate, as you can see, has some ribbing as well. Like so. And if we look underneath, you could see the springs for the suspension, but I'm not going to go over the bottom of the truck. I don't know of anyone that actually would display it upside down. Anyway, my overall opinion of it, and I'm sure most people are waiting for this, which I will give you once I get an excavator under it. So, my overall opinion of it, buying it, I realized I wasn't getting a NZG or a TWH or WSI model, obviously. Norscot has a reputation out there as really not the most detailed or best built or accurate models. Getting it, I was expecting a lot less. I wasn't really expecting it to be this nice. Obviously, it has flaws. You cannot deny that it doesn't have flaws. And you also can't deny that it's extremely high detailed or anything, but it's a lot nicer than what I was expecting, and I'm sure when you get it in your hands you will see that as well. I feel like it's a massive improvement from past Norscot models. To be honest, if they could keep up at this pace of how they're making these, I probably would buy a lot more, but I feel like that's probably not going to happen. This is obviously a new model from them. Other new models from them have flaws, and they're as large that I'm not even going to buy them, and I know other people aren't. But this model is a very, very large improvement from Norscot. I'm glad that it was also on one as popular as this. I'm glad that it wasn't really on like a harvester or something that's, you know, isn't as popular as this. But I'm glad that they did do it on this. If someone asked me would they buy that, I would say absolutely. I would also say buy it as soon as possible, because I don't see too many of them being produced with the issue that they have going on with Cat. But it's definitely a very, very nice model. I highly suggest it. I believe it retails for $80, which is definitely fair. And I hope that for the few next models that they have coming out before they switch over to die-cast, actually Tonkin, that they are like this. And I'm glad that Norscot went out with a model as nice as this. So, anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video and take care.